Today, I want to talk about the productivity paradox because you see, when we think about productivity, we often think about smart processes and systems that mean that we can literally maximize the time that we have available in any given day to achieve the things that we want to do. And often it means that your output is amplified because you are working in a smarter, more efficient way. But you see, recently I have been leaning into a very different definition of productivity, one that I think I have really come to understand as a result of my move and as a result of the adjustment that I'm currently going through. Because you see, since I've moved back to the Salerno province, although it's only been 3 weeks, and I think sometimes I'm very hard on myself and I expect to see results quicker than, is feasibly possible. Even though it's only been 3 weeks, I have found that it has been difficult for me to get back into a routine with my social media content, with my brand, and with all the things that I was doing very naturally and very effortlessly before we moved. And the reason for this, I think, is twofold. First and foremost, I've of course been distracted by settling into the home, unpacking, organizing, all of those things that are really, really important. And I know once they are done, I can feel a lot more relaxed within myself. But secondly, my environment has changed. And now I want to make sure that I have the time to enjoy my new environment and to achieve more of a balance. Because really, the way I was working before we moved left very little free time to do anything else. And in a way, perhaps it wasn't as healthy as it could have been. And so, my new definition of productivity, the one that I'm leaning more towards, is one of working in a very streamlined way, one that is effective, one that, produces the results you want, but it doesn't mean that you are working as much. It actually means you're working less. I think this is productivity because it means I'm showing up in a more authentic way rather than just ticking off boxes on a list and showing up because I have to show up. And trust me, there is a difference in energy. You can tell when somebody is producing content because they truly, truly want to, versus somebody who is producing content because it's something they have to do. And whatever type of content it may be, I truly believe that that energy is universal and you pick up on it 100%. And so I've been really reflecting on how I want to change things going forward in this new environment, in my new home, and the kinds of things I want to achieve. Now, this year, I want to launch an expat community called Expats in Bloom. It's something I spoke about before we made the move. And it's something that now, as I'm settling into my new home, I can start to devote more time and energy towards. But as a result, it has made me think about the way that I manage my other social media platforms. Now, this podcast is a pleasure for me to do. One episode a week is something that is very, very manageable. But if you consider, before we moved, I was doing this podcast, a newsletter every 2 weeks, pretty much daily Instagram posts, whether it be reels or carousels or just traditional images and stories, plus 2 long form YouTube videos a week. And in between that, maybe daily shorts or community posts. And then I also created 2 channel memberships as well on my YouTube channel. One of those membership tiers, including an extra bonus video a month and a 1 hour live stream session every single month as well. So when you factor all of those things in, that's a lot for one person to do on their own, as well as managing a full-time job. And this is the reason why I've decided that I need to streamline things and I need to make things simpler. Because if I'm not feeling joy in what I'm creating, I know that I am not giving the value to people that they deserve. And everything that I do with all of my content is to help people and to serve people in some way. And so I literally took the decision this morning to change the channel memberships that I have on my YouTube channel. So now I'm going to only have 1 channel membership tier and not 2. And I'm actually going to change that membership tier, and it of course will be reflected in the price as well, to include just the bonus video every single month and a Q&A community post and not the live stream. And the reason I've decided to do this is because it's going to make it a lot easier for me to manage. And also, it means that that time that I was spending on that content, I can now put towards the community that I'm building, Expats in Bloom, which I know is going to be able to create so much goodness for so many people and really has to be my prime focus as we progress through the year. And it also means that I'm showing up in a better way for my members and for people who support me because I'm not drained, I'm not depleted, I've actually got energy. And this is why I feel like doing less actually means you end up doing more. You know, when we try and split ourselves, we spread ourselves too thin, we try and do a bit of everything, we end up really doing a lot of nothing because you cannot produce effective work when you spread yourself too thin, when your attention is too divided. You cannot be consistent in the level of and quality of work that you're producing when your mind is in that way. And so it was a very interesting observation that I've made this morning because I've always been into productivity. You know, I follow Ali Abdul on YouTube and various other productivity gurus who will try to help you to, produce better results in your life. But perhaps I have interpreted productivity in a way that wasn't necessarily as healthy as it could have been in the past. And with this move has come many changes to my environment, to the way that I'm living my life. And as a result, I want that to be reflected in the work that I'm producing as well. I truly believe in life, you do not have to work to the bone in order to be productive. You can still have a life, you can still have your downtime, and you can still produce great things. And I actually think from that place, the content you produce is so much better anyway. And this is what I wanted to talk about today, this productivity paradox. Productivity is such a buzzword, and it's something that I think people can take to the extreme, but it doesn't have to be this all consuming concept that basically strips you of, any kind of freedom in that sense. It can be something that helps to focus you and helps you to work in a better way, absolutely. But it doesn't mean that you have to work more being productive. You can actually work less. And I think, honestly, there's a bit of magic behind working less. And there's a reason why concepts like the 4-hour work week exist. Because if you're smart with your systems and you're smart with your time and you are smart with your focus, you don't need to work as hard as you think you do to achieve the things that you want to achieve. I will see you in the next episode.